Morning. Our next class is sulfonamides. Sulfonamides are a group of antibiotics which were having a wide range of usage in the previous time, but nowadays due to the development of resistance, the use has been restricted. Sulfonamides are sulfanilamide derivatives. This sulfanilamide has structural similarity with the PABA. PABA means para-amino benzoic acid. Thus the sulfonamides are PABA congeners. Coming to the classification, sulfonamides are classified into two major groups. The first one is those reserved for the topical use, which includes sulfacetamide, silver sulfadicin, sulfasalazine, and muffinide. And the second group is those for systemic use. Among that, it's depending upon the duration of action, it's further divided into short acting, intermediate acting, as well as long acting. Short acting agents include sulfamethoxazole, sulfadicin. Intermediate acting includes sulfamethoxazole, sulfapyridine, and long acting agents like sulfadoxine and sulfamethoxypyrazine. Coming to the mechanism of action of sulfonamides, these are basically bacteriostatic agents. They act by inhibiting the bacterial folate synthesis. So here sulfonamides inhibits the dihydroteroid synthase enzyme, so thus inhibiting the formation of dihydroteroic acid from tyridine and PABA. So all the process of folic acid synthesis is inhibited by these sulfonamides. Sulfonamides are structural analogues of para-amino benzoic acid, so they exert a competitive inhibition on dihydroteroid synthase, and thus they prevent the bacterial synthesis of purines as well as pyrimidines. Antibacterial spectrum of sulfonamides. Earlier they were active against a wide range of organisms, but at present the spectrum of activity has come down due to the development of resistance in different organisms. So they are active against gram-positive organisms like Streptococcus pyogenes, Streptococcus pneumonia, or Staph aureus, and certain gram-negative organisms include Haemophilus influenza, Haemophilus ducreyi, granulomatosis, Klebsiella granulomatosis, as well as Enterobacteriaceae, and there is poor activity against anaerobic organisms. All the usual mechanisms have contributed in the development of resistance against sulfonamides. That includes production of efflux pumps, decreased entry of sulfonamides into the bacterial cell, and there the synthesis of certain alternative enzyme for the production of folate, as well as the alteration in the target. These all contribute to the development of resistance. Sulfonamides are well absorbed from the GIT following oral administration. They have wide distribution in our body, and some agent even reaches the CSF in optimum concentration. For example, sulfadicin and sulfamethoxazole. The main mechanism of metabolism in the liver is by acetylation, and they are mainly eliminated through the urine. Coming to the adverse effects of the sulfonamides. First is crystalluria. It is due to the precipitation of sulfonamides or their acetylated metabolites. It can be prevented by making the urine alkaline or by increasing the urine volume by increasing the water intake. Other areas includes hypersensitivity reactions, hematopoietic disorders like hemolytic anemia or thrombocytopenia, then Kernicterus. Now we can see the individual agents. First is sulfamethoxazole. This agent is rapidly absorbed and excreted from the body. It has got high solubility, so there is less chance of production of crystalluria or less renal toxicity. And sulfamethoxazole, its concentration in urine is higher than that of in plasma, so its concentration in urine is bactericidal. And the sulfamethoxazole acetyl is the preferred combination or preferred preparation in the children. Next agent is sulfamethoxazole. It's a close congener of the sulfamethoxazole, but the rate of absorption and the rate of excretion is somewhat slow as compared to sulfamethoxazole. It has got high incidence of crystalluria because its acetylated fraction is high insoluble in urine, and we commonly use this sulfamethoxazole in a fixed dose combination with trimethoprim. Next is sulfadicin. It's an orally administered drug. It has got a rapid absorption and excretion from the body. It maintains a half-life of around 10 hours. Its penetration to brain as well as CSF is good, so we can safely or effectively use this drug in CNS or meningeal infections. Then sulfadoxin. This agent has high plasma protein binding, so there will be slow excretion from the body. It has got a long T-half, like 7 to 9 days. We are not preferring this drug alone nowadays. We usually use in a combination with pyrimethamine for the management of chloroquine or mefloquine resistant malaria cases. It has got severe toxicity, for example Steven Johnson syndromes, or there is chances of developments of resistant cases. Next is a topically acting sulfonamide, sulfacetamide. It's a derivative of sulfanilamide. This agent has got high aqueous solubility, and the sodium salt of sulfacetamide is useful for ophthalmic infections. It's normally not an irritating agent to the eye, but if the patient already has a history of drug allergy, then its use should be contraindicated in such patients. Next topical agent is muffinide. The most common indication for this muffinide is to prevent the infections in burns. So in burns patient there is chances of colonization of gram-negative bacteria, so which leads to infection. So muffinide prevents the colonization of gram-negative bacteria in burns. It has got a property that it inhibits carbonic anhydrase enzyme in our body. So if the drug is administered, if the drug is absorbed systemically following a topical administration, the carbonic anhydrase enzyme is inhibited, so there will be metabolic acidosis with compensatory tachypnea and hyperventilation. Next agent is a topical preparation of sulfadicin. It's silver sulfadicin. It has got same use as that of muffinide. It prevents the infections in burns patients. The silver, which is slowly released from the silver sulfadicin preparation, it is selectively toxic to the microorganisms, but there are chances of developments of resistance to this silver sulfadicin preparation. So in such cases you have to substitute with another agents. Coming to the therapeutic uses of sulfonamides, the first is urinary tract infection. Because of the development of resistant organisms, nowadays sulfonamides are no longer considered as a first line choice, but certain agents like sulfamethoxazole or trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole combination can be used if there is sensitive organisms. The second condition is nocardiosis. In this infection, sulfamethoxazole or sulfadicin can be preferred. The combination agents like sulfadoxin pyrimethamine combination is effective for the management of chloroquine resistant malaria cases, and combination of sulfadicin and pyrimethamine for the management of toxoplasmosis. And the topical uses includes sodium sulfacetamide ophthalmic solution or ointment is beneficial in bacterial conjunctivitis as well as in trachoma, and muffinide and silver sulfadicin is effective in the prevention of infection in burn surfaces, and sulfasalazine has got certain local actions, like it's useful as a locally in inflammatory bowel disease. Then few points about the drug interactions of sulfonamides. Sulfonamides inhibits the metabolism of phenytoin as well as tolbutamide. They displace methotrexate from the plasma protein or other binding site, so there will be increased concentration of free methotrexate available in the plasma, so there are chances of methotrexate toxicity. Next is cotrimoxazole. It's a fixed dose combination of trimethoprim with sulfamethoxazole. Trimethoprim is a diaminopyrimidine compound. It acts by inhibiting the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase. Coming to the mechanism of action of cotrimoxazole. Cotrimoxazole acts by inhibiting the folate synthesis. So it is known as sequential blockade of folate metabolism. So in the folate synthesis pathway, Pyridine combines with PABA to form dihydroteroic acid. This step is catalyzed by dihydroteroate synthase. As I already discussed, this step is inhibited by sulfonamides, and this dihydroteroic acid upon glutamation to form dihydrofolate, and the dihydrofolate with the help of dihydrofolate reductase forms tetrahydrofolate, and this step is inhibited by our trimethoprim. So this is a sequential blockade. And the rationale behind this combination is there is optimum synergistic effect is obtained by this combination, and both these compounds are individually bacteriostatic, but the combination produces a bactericidal effect, and these two agents are combined in a ratio of 5:1. Among this, sulfamethoxazole is the highest one. The half-life of these two agents are almost similar, around 10 hours, and we can use this combination even if there is a resistant organism and the organism is resistant to one of this agent. So we can try the combination here, and because of the use of this combination, the development of resistance will be slower as compared to a monotherapy. Antibacterial spectrum of cotrimoxazole includes different sulfonamide resistant strains. That means those organisms which were resistant to sulfonamides are sensitive to cotrimoxazole. Several streptococcal species like pneumoniae, pyogenes, viridans, and certain staphylococcal organisms, epidermidis as well as staphylococcus aureus, and certain additional organisms. Additional means they are additional to the spectrum of sulfonamides, which includes Pneumocystis gyrovesi, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, Salmonella as well as Yersinia. The next is about bacterial resistance towards cotrimoxazole. As we have already discussed that the chances of development of resistance against this combination is very rare, but still there are certain cases where resistance organisms are noted, and the development of resistance could be due to overproduction of dihydrofolate or plasmid mediated acquisition of dihydrofolate reductase, and there is reduced cell permeability towards this cotrimoxazole. Coming to the pharmacokinetic features of cotrimoxazole, we can administer this drug through oral as well as through the IV route, and among this, trimethoprim has more rapid absorption, and these two contents varying in their rate of binding to the plasma protein. The trimethoprim content is more concentrated in the prostatic as well as in the vaginal fluid, so we can prefer this agent mainly for the genitourinary tract infection. And then the therapeutic uses of cotrimoxazole. The first and foremost indication is Pneumocystis gyrovesi pneumonia. Actually, this infection is an opportunistic infection in HIV patients, so we can use this cotrimoxazole either for the treatment or for the prophylaxis. So the high dose therapy for the treatment purpose, which includes trimethoprim 15 to 20 milligram per kilogram per day plus sulfamethoxazole 75 to 100 milligram per kilogram per day, and for prophylaxis we use in a much lesser dose. Further, cotrimoxazole is useful in uncomplicated cystitis as well as in complicated pyelonephritis, but the treatment duration for the complicated pyelonephritis is long, and it's beneficial in acute otitis media, acute maxillary sinusitis as well as in gastrointestinal infections. And this cotrimoxazole is also useful in MRSA, methicillin resistant staphylococcal aureus, nocardia, brucellosis, chancroid, typhoid, etc. And in severe cases we can use IV cotrimoxazole, for example severe pneumocystis pneumonia or severe gram-negative sepsis. And the adverse reactions of cotrimoxazole, the adverse reactions are almost similar to that of sulfonamides. It produces gastrointestinal upset like nausea, vomiting, stomatitis or rashes, then certain hematological reactions, hypersensitivity reactions, then renal failure. This agent is contraindicated in pregnancy because this combination produces deficiency of folate, so which is teratogenic in babies, as well as it may result in hemolysis or methemoglobinemia in the neonates. So this agent is contraindicated in pregnancy. To summarize, sulfonamides inhibits the synthesis of folic acid. They act by inhibiting the dihydropteroid synthase enzyme. Thus, the conversion of pteridine plus PABA into dihydropteroic acid is inhibited. When sulfonamides combined with trimethoprim, there is a sequential blockade in the folic acid synthesis. The trimethoprim-like agents inhibit dihydrofolate reductase. So, combination of these two group of drugs, they are more beneficial. So that is all about sulfonamides and cotrimoxazole. Thank you.